Hello, friends. Can I get a space nerd in the chat? Oh, wait, no, we're already there. All right. I'm feeling this first song. This is good. This is nice. It's got a bit of a bass line. Got some hype to it. Let's go. We're in. We're in. Listen to this jam. This is good stuff to open up to. It's like there's no beat, but you can feel it. It's building anticipation. It's coming. It's like, yes, the stream has started. We're going to talk about economy and missions. Let's go. That's just a good feeling to say, man. God, this game. The missions in this game are boring. Nobody has that mistake. All right, there are some decent missions. There are some okay times. But like, you run through them 3 or 4 times and it's like, okay, what else is next? So I'm so freaking pumped to get to go over, talk about missions. Like, ships are cool. Weapons are fun. Planets, yeah. Pyro, cool. But oh my God. Once we get past the fact that like once we get cargo, yeah, cargo is very important. FPS getting updated, sure. But like, you need tangible things to do besides the sandbox, you know? And that's something that Star Citizen's really struggled with. So I'm excited today to go over Star Citizen Live from yesterday, because it sounds like there's some good stuff there. We've got talk about missions. We've got economy talk. They're going through cargo hauling and how that works. And here's a little shout out for Quantum. At least kind of a shout out for Quantum, which is music to my ears. It sounds like the name is changing. Somebody pointed this out to me earlier this year. Star Citizen Live, they've been starting to use a different name, maybe, to talk about the economy simulation. So it is amazing that finally I can stop caring about whether people say quantum or quanta. It ends. Which means I need to find another hill to die on, but we'll get to that point. Welcome in, everybody. How you doing? I love to see my toes, gang. Garden folks, where you at? Get in the chat. Let me see that hype. Let me see that dancing. Vassen's still sleeping, I think. We didn't get much dancing to the to our good music, our opening music this time, but it's still, man, it's Saturday, bro. Come on. Come on. Mrs. T, I see you in chat. Thanks for holding it down. Out there with our niece, getting a little present for her. It's her birthday. Well, it was our birthday. Deja, how you doing? Good to see you. Holston Coop, holding it down. Love to see your name in chat, dude. Graham, Van Healy, Jive Funk from back in the day. Also, enjoy to see your name, man. Dark, Bears Junkie, C McD, Zero. Good to see you all, John. Welcome. Isno, Toes Gang. Ethnification, greetings, my friend. Almighty Fox, Vivi Jr., McCape or McCape? Lumi, good to see you. Doug Crane, hello. Hi. A fellow creator called Narc focuses on Ashes of Creation complimented your server meshing video a lot. Somebody had said that he watched it. I didn't get to see the video itself. Appreciate that, though. Glad they liked it. Happy Saturday, John Doom. Good to see you. Guys, I got a little announcement. Little story time before we get deep into things today. So my video for today is going to be late. I really hope that doesn't affect it, because like if 324 goes to another wave of Evocati on Monday, that might throw off the video, but we'll have to see. I have an overview coming out about 324. It also explains, it's kind of a rehash, a little bit of a video I made last year that explains what the heck Star Citizen is doing. Like, why their updates are so weird, why 324 comes out of nowhere, why it's so frustrating to figure out what the heck's coming in an update and when that's coming. That's all in the video, but it's also an overview of 324. And it was supposed to come out today, but let me tell you a little story. So, about a month ago now, little more than 3 weeks ago, we finally, after a few months of like really pushing people's buttons, you know, we had to, Mrs. Tomato had to get on some people's cases, but we finally got the house into a position where we could live in, which is basically we got water piped in there. Unfortunately, nobody thought we would need internet. So the house was not wired for internet, and we've basically been using my wife's phone as a hotspot for everything we do there, from the TV connection to the Xbox updating to me going on the garden in Discord every morning to say hi to you guys. We have to go through her phone. That's been frustrating, and that's why I've been here, set up in my this is my brother-in-law's bedroom. His bed's like, you can't see it. It's right off the screen right here. And this is what we've been doing for the last 3 weeks. You've been with me. We've been enjoying it. It's been good. A little warm, but it's good. Their internet's pretty good. So that's what we've been doing. And we were supposed to get internet on June 30th, right? We've been waiting for it. We were told it was coming. Weeks go by. Yeah. And we get here, and it's June 29th, and we get a sudden message this morning of, hey, we're coming to your house in 10 minutes to set up the internet. We didn't really expect that. We were expecting to come over here and get to work, but we were excited nonetheless. So we're like, okay, cool. We're actually going to get internet. Maybe we can, we were like, oh, I could do the stream tonight. I could stay on for longer because I could do the stream and talk to the people in org. We're going to play some gameplay. The reason my streams have been so short is because I can't stay here at night when this is somebody's bedroom. So we were really excited for that. And the people came over and they started getting to work, and then we started to hear problems come up, and it turns out that they can't actually put the internet in because the electrician who did our house did the electricity wiring wrong so that we couldn't get internet through it. So of course that could have been found out in the last 3 weeks, but instead we waited until now. So now they have to come back and do the wiring later, when we will be getting internet soon here. At least I think, but that explains why my video is not out yet. It's supposed to come out about an hour ago. So you'll be seeing that on Monday, I hope. And that should be a little update for 324. But man, I'm just excited in general for a lot of the stuff happening in the game right now. It's not playing very well. I totally get that. There's a lot of glitches and stability problems, Star Citizen and being Star Citizen. But the amount of big moves they're making, the things they're talking about and actually implementing this year are nice. And I think this is going to be yet another one of those nice moments. So excited to jump in with y'all. Thanks for being here if you're here. Notification gang, living strong. I know we're early. Y'all over in America, if you are awake for this, bless your heart. Why would I need internet? What's internet, dude? Talking to other people? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. What's up, Rob? How you doing? Jules! Hey, good to see you. Matt Cape. Not Macape. All right, I got you. John Doom. Oh, no, ×2. That's hot garbage. Ooh, the garbage was hot. The garbage was hot. But you know what? We live, we thrive, we strive to do better. And we might not have internet, but we're still having a freaking fantastic time. I mean, the garden's been popping off lately. People have been joining in more. Our Discord community has been a lot of fun. We're not just a gaming community. We have people talking about pets, food, exercise, art, all the things. And it's just a good time to hop in there. Now that social media is a little bit insane, I'd say Facebook was the first to go. But now Twitter is just becoming more and more of a pain to be on. Instagram, I don't really use Instagram. Reddit did their whole thing, which is really annoying. They cut off all the third-party apps. It's nice to be able to just set up a space on Discord where a bunch of like-minded people can chill, and it's a little easier to know who you're talking to than just be open to the whole internet. So that's been fun. That's been good. We also play games. Hello, Germany. Hey, Germany. How you doing? You like the idea that a new star system is coming into the game, but you have no real interest in Pyro. Your star system you can't wait for is Terra. I will live in Terra. Jeremiah, I'm there with you. I mean, I care about Pyro because of the reputation stuff and what it could mean for our gameplay and how the game separates. But yeah, in terms of star systems, Pyro is not something I'm going to be doing much of in the long term. It's more of oh, I'm going to go there and visit. Okay, now where's Magnus? Where's Terra? Where's the good stuff? 07's from Turkey? Tani, 07's from Turkey as well, buddy. Where in Turkey you from? We are, We out here on the Black Sea. You're on the internet now. Right. That's the funny thing. Since we don't have internet, I have to come to... This is, like I said, my wife's parents' place, or her brother-in-law's... I'm in her brother-in-law's bedroom. Istanbul. Sick, man. No, not Trabzon. Not that far out. No. We're out here in the western Karadeniz. Like 4 hours from you. Where do you think they want to end up as a data broker? Oh, I want to end up as a data broker. I want to be moving quite a bit as a data broker. I think I'm going to have 2 different accounts. One that I use for my my org stuff, like group stuff that'll always be centered around Magnus, and then another account that's moving around data brokering data. Broken that data, you know? You got that data. Sup from sunny Los Angeles. Used to be there. School days. Good times. Cheers to you. It's early over there, huh? Zahn, about 4 hours from you as well. Nice. Check us out here in Turkey. Yo, we're trying to get a Turkey Bar Citizen going for any of you guys who are out in this area. Me and Mrs. Tomato want to get that set up. We've been talking to CIG a little bit, and they said that, you know, if we can get something together, they might fly people out here. So over the next couple of years, we're going to try and make it happen. We are trying to come to CitizenCon, yes. Indeed. When to get donair because you don't want to heat up your place even more by cooking. I mean, what better to get than donair? All right. So I don't want to go too far over on this. We will be following this up with some org gameplay here in a couple of hours. We're going to do some gun rush together. Saturday nights, org nights, if y'all want to join, hit the link down below. But it is time to talk about missions, economy, cargo hauling, possibly a renaming of the quantum system. Just all in all, a pretty substantial talk from the sounds of it. I have not watched any of this yet. I don't know what exactly is said. I just know the kind of general topic, and obviously that there are some graphics in here. But this could be one of the more important talks that Star Citizen sees this year, because of all things that Star Citizen really struggles with, we hear about solutions for them. You know, server meshing, the Squadron 42 changes that are coming up, ships, planets, and new systems. But like, when it comes to what are you doing, what are you going to actually go out and do over and over again in the game? Missions have just been like, we hear about them and then we don't really get the super integral details, or we don't really see them. So that's not to say that this is changing everything, because we're going to see all this stuff soon, but it sounds like they go into more detail on stuff they haven't really before. And who knows, maybe we will see this soon. Let's see. Anyways, this is Star Citizen Live from June 28th, and hopefully it's got some good info. Let's get into it. I said, let's get into it.
Hey everybody, I'm old and tired. Looking at the Reddit comments.
Are you sure it's not because you've been waiting for Squadron like the rest of us, Zinger? Ah! Okay, sorry.
Hey everybody, what are we doing? Oh, welcome.
Morning, Luna Maria. We are early today, yeah.
The sometimes weekly showcase where we take about an hour at the end of our week.
Flop a lower.
That's a lie, because it takes like several hours to set this stuff up. So it's you see an hour, and then we got to do all this stuff for time before that. We take about an hour that you see at the end of the week, and we do a lot of things. Sometimes we do a question and answer thing. Sometimes we interview folks and get to know them. Sometimes, as we're doing for the last couple weeks and for the next couple weeks, we're doing our game dev specials, where we invite a developer to basically disconnect their computer and carry it from one building to another building. We're in a different building here. Hook it up here and then work for an hour and show you a bit of their process. And that's what we're doing.
I swear there's like something on my chair just biting me. I've had like 4 itchy spots pop up on my legs since I sat down for work today. I don't like that. That's unnerving. What the heck is that?
This week. This week's show is called Making Missions 2. It's a sequel to a previous series of episodes we did called
Just rude.
Making Missions. Those ones were with Elliot Maltby. They were okay. Not as good as I had hoped, mostly due to the guest. But I mean, otherwise, but we've traded up. We've got different guests this week, so we're hoping our results will be better. Let's go ahead, now that I've sufficiently just poked that bear, let's go ahead and introduce our guest this week. Meet me at camera 2. Our guests this week are Jort and Nick. How you doing, guys?
Hello, everybody.
Good. How are you?
Amazing.
He's I'm not sure about the guy in the middle. The guy on the right, was he in the economy talk earlier this year? I feel like he kind of, maybe they just look similar. Where was that? That was. Where is that talk? Publishing, all about 323, AI for you and I, master modes. Am I dumb? Am I blind? There's Invictus. What was the episode that I'm thinking of? I feel like I'm completely missing it here. They're going to say that very thing. Oh, it's this team. All about 323, because it's not actually named about the economy, right? No? Yeah, here we go. This guy.
As far as what's going to happen in 323.
Well, cohesive.
Okay. Is that him? Am I wrong? I don't know. Think so.
Before we get started, let's take a few minutes because every show is somebody's first show, and if this is
He's about to introduce himself. Nonsense. We must introduce him before he introduces himself.
Who are you? And
He
what
was
do
in
you
the
do for
economy,
Star
okay.
Citizen?
Hey, I'm a mission designer, so I make missions. You might know me from something like the Crusader platform missions. I've also done some work on Siege of Orison, and I've been doing some tweaks on the new player experience to make sure they're available basically at every landing zone.
What do you mean they might know you? Like to know you, to play your missions, or to
yeah.
know you?
Oh yeah, that's
You have to-
basically my whole.
You got to look him up on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
This is one of those shows where I just got to do the intro, and then I'm like, I'd take a nap. I'm looking forward to it. Nick, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, I am Nick Wardle. I'm on the economy team, and with Andre and with Connor. And I think we all do a bit of everything, but my main focus is player progression and player rewards.
You know, I talked to one of the guys from the economy team at CitizenCon last year, and I'm just now remembering that conversation. I'm thinking, from what I've heard of this episode, it sounds like they're going to talk about the things he was talking about. Because the things he was talking about got me so pumped. Everything he was saying, I was like, wait a second, that sounds like what we want. Like breaking up the economy into microeconomies and focusing them around landing zones and then peripherals of moons and outposts and stuff. I'm excited for that.
Economy team. Do we have an economy?
We do. Okay.
Edgy like Declan Frost.
We do have an economy, and we will have even more of an
He
economy.
said, okay.
And in fact, 324 is going to be a great place to discover that economy.
Yeah, we had you. We had you and oh gosh, no. Andre, geez.
It's a nice chair,
on
though.
SCL a couple weeks ago, introducing the new team that has been building up here in the UK. That work is starting to take fruition. We saw some of the early fruits of that in 323. You'll see more with the cargo missions that are coming in 324, and then on as we go into 4.0 and beyond. So, what are we doing this week? You all right?
Well, this week we're going to show you a little bit about the cargo hauling missions that we've been building. So usually, you know, cargo hauling is the kind of thing where it seems pretty straightforward. You go to a location, you grab some containers, put them on your ship, fly somewhere else, put them down, and get paid. But actually, today we're going to show you that in Star Citizen, it's a lot more interesting.
Yeah. Now this will be one of those shows where you're working for the hour, so you won't see the results of that mission this week. We will be back next week where we'll actually jump into the game. We'll actually play the mission that we're creating here live today. So
that'll be interesting, assuming that we're not past Evocati by this time next week, which we probably won't be. So that should be a pretty interesting episode too.
this is one of the shows where it's going to be a bunch of talking and you're not going to see much. So if you're salty Mike, go ahead and punch your chair now. I'm assuming that you already have twice by this point. But
so this is something that they talked about. Cargo hauling. No? Get out of here. I know you talked about it this month. Okay. Yeah, check this out. So missions feature team back in June of 2023. It's a year ago now. I guess this would have come out in July of 2023, but you can see it down here. Last month, mission features were redirected to cargo and pyro-based missions. They're currently developing cargo hauling and ship piracy missions that leverage the new cargo grid and freight elevators feature. That's when they were working on this. So we were like, oh, okay, cool. Cargo hauling missions, nice. They also were talking about mining missions around this time, which we still haven't gotten. And salvage missions, which we did get. Actually, that might have been 2 years ago. So between just mining missions and the cargo hauling missions we're about to see, in addition to investigation missions, which they've covered a while ago and they never got out, and then bounty hunting V2, which I probably more than a year out, we got a decent supply of missions on the way. This talk is going to really show us, though, how deep they get.
you know, join in. It's fun. Not less for the chair, but I think we're selling new chairs soon. Oh, look at how I worked that in there, didn't I? I worked that in there.
Oh,
right, so I'm gonna
hold on. Look at all these different themed chairs. Those are nice. Ooh.
Turn it over to you. Get us started.
Sounds good.
It's your show.
All right. So, Nick, how do you make a Star Citizen hauling mission?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing that we ought to do is...
You won't even have to worry about whether the game runs for their own demonstration, because they can just do it offline, right?
Exactly. That's precisely what I did.
And for the community.
So, I started off by doing some research and going on Spectrum, our official Star Citizen forums. And I also had a look at what people were saying on Reddit, as well as checking out some YouTube videos out there.
Huge mistake. Never talk to the dude.
I noticed.
No, do not let YouTubers change this game. They are ruining it. They put out these videos and they change everything. Morphologist got the A2 nerfed. No, don't go to YouTube. Sorry.
Immediately right off the bat was what people were discussing when it came to sandbox commodity trading is that currently, you know, you're required to have quite a sort of built-up capital for you.
Look at that camera.
It's me throwing cups around because I'm angry.
Oh, all right. You're supposed to have quite the sort of built-up capital already for you to actually go to a location and buy all these commodities to be able to even transport it anywhere and you know, make a profit off of that. So that's definitely something we've been taking into consideration. Another conversation I've seen is people discussing what sort of the best cargo hauling ship would be, and if actually some of the smaller ships out there are still going to have a purpose when the cargo hauling missions come out. So that's also something that we're going to be talking about today. But most importantly, I think what people are most excited about is the role of cargo hauling missions within
I know I am.
within the economy. And so after doing my research, I reached out to the economy team. And there I spoke a little bit with Connor, which is Nick's colleague out in Austin, Texas. Hey, Connor.
Hey, Connor.
I believe Connor's who I
And he showed us something very interesting. So let's switch to our screen here. What Connor showed me is this amazing logistical sheet that he'd been imagining, which essentially maps out all of the connections between different locations within the Stanton system. So as you can see, if a commodity would come in from the jump point and it would need to go somewhere, well then it gets connected to an LEO. And then from the LEO, it could be transported to another LEO or to a Lagrange point, or maybe if it needs to go down to the planet surface, it will go through the landing zone to the outposts, or maybe even if the outpost is closer to a distribution center, go to distribution first and then to the outpost.
Oh.
And each of those are at different sizes and different ships are involved, but every single one of those journeys.
They actually put out a graphic describing this a little while last year.
Thank you very much.
Basically, it's the same idea. This was more an advertisement for MISC themselves, so it's not as detailed. Did somebody just drop some members? Unloading Whale. Unloaded some members in chat on YouTube. Hey man, thank you Whale. Appreciate your support. Thanks for getting us started off on this stream. Much love to you. So this came out as an ad for MISC, but you can see that same idea. You got the big ships, the large cargo haulers going between the cargo depot space stations, the LEOs, in orbit over the planets. And then from these LEOs, you got smaller ships making runs down to the moons, like moon outposts and stuff. And you also have, you know, probably some stuff going from the station down to the planet. But the idea being that all of you who want to do that large, long distance bulk transportation, you would be taking these kinds of missions between stations, between planets, or even between star systems. Whereas the people who are more into like the logistics side of it, loading and unloading their ships, going down into atmosphere, doing all that stuff, you're taking these smaller ones. And the most important part of all this is the ships you're flying. So like if you have, say, a raft, right, then you have VTOL thrusters, you have the easy ability to load and unload cargo. So you can go in space, you could be down on the ground, landing and taking off over and over again. You've got very easy to load boxes there. Trying to find the shots, there we go. Like they basically let you load these boxes straight away without ever going inside of the ship itself. And that's super interesting. That's super important, key for doing those really quick drop-offs. But you could also be getting a C2 where you're less likely to be able to load something quickly, but you're more protected so you can get things further in better security. And like the whole goal of this, in my opinion, should be to emphasize which ship you chose and whether or not you can do well at the job that they're giving you with that ship.
Can be turned into gameplay, right?
Exactly, yeah. So the next step was I basically did some research about, well, all of the different planets and moons and all of the different locations that exist in the Stanton system. And I basically mapped Connor's logistical rule set and structure onto those locations. So here you can see, for example, the planet Hurston, and I've connected up all of the different locations with their sort of structure. So in this case, a mining outpost would be connected to a distribution center, so all of the stuff that they mine is going through there. And then when that distribution center has collected stuff, it will connect up to the LEO of that planet, so in this case Everest Harbor. And from there, it goes to probably the closest or cheapest Lagrange point that has a refinery, where the ore is refined and it can be sent over to the different other LEOs, depending on who needs it.
Yeah, I want to add in here for the folks who are, many folks are probably thinking the obvious question, well, what about quantum and stuff like that? These are representations of the same type of information that is in there.
Wait, no. I was going to get there before they said that. I was straight up just looking up the quantum demo because this is, no, that's not it. This is exactly what they showed us in 2019, just about. Come on. What do I need to type in to get this to pop up? Here we go. So if you go to here, it's around here
for another, so it adds its markup on, and it, just like the factory that requires transport, Hurston factory aluminum.
So this is them showing off the quantum simulation back in 2019 and how it was supposed to respond to supply and demand, not getting enough materials to produce whatever it was supposed to produce, stuff like that.
It was very low for a period of time, and that's because they were actually burning off that aluminum inventory as fast as they could get it. And the reason why you see that spike there in the aluminum inventory is because as soon as we altered the formula so that power plants now require laranite, they were still receiving from all these freighter transports. They still had aluminum coming in, but they could no longer produce power plants. So it stalled, and then all of a sudden they started stockpiling. And then when you see that the aluminum started falling, that's because finally they started receiving supplies of laranite, and they were able to resume the production process. And so all of a sudden, their aluminum started getting burned off at a natural rate.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a really quick look, and you can go and watch this whole video. But that is the stuff they were trying to show us with that simulation. So it'll be interesting to hear how they reference that today.
That's still being worked on, still not quite ready for prime time, but we can take the modeling and the information that are from there and get started on missions now, and then it's just about find and replace and stuff. So
Exactly. So how about we pick one commodity and try to trace its entire route?
Yep, from where it originates to where it might be needed.
Exactly. So what I'm thinking is, let's pick titanium. And what you can see is that I've actually mapped out on this board what the crust of the different planets is made of. So here you can see that
What does ArcCorp say? Buildings?
Hurston has iron, and all of its moons have different combinations of different ores. What I can see is that titanium is mostly found on the moons around Crusader. Now this is data.
So where did you get that information from?
This is data that was provided to me by Connor, and Connor is also the point of contact for the people who are placing around the minables, which means that whatever planet has a particular kind of ore in mineable, that will also use essentially the same information and data that the cargo hauling missions use to figure out what ore should be hauled.
That makes sense.
And just like Jared was saying,
Probably how it should work.
Starsem is eventually going to be in charge of managing these relationships.
Exactly.
Starsim, is that officially the new name, or is that just one of those things we're playing around with? Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Star Sim.
Hair.
I mean, Star Sim, it makes sense. Yeah, Star Hair, Star Cloth,
Star Cloth.
Star Beams.
Sim, why not?
Star
All
Eyes.
right.
When you see a full-on video, like if you see somebody standing at CitizenCon saying it's called that, that's when you can.
All right. Just for reference, here is where they talked about material changes that happened last year. So, like, this stuff to me is important because they don't just whip this crap out of their ass and like not. It doesn't come out of nowhere. When people are when you hear people say they're not doing things, there are other steps that are going on to lead to this stuff. So, like, this is what they were talking about last year that eventually allows them to now do this with the planets and the economy side
And
of
this
things.
directly leads to the next thing. So we introduced finally iron, and iron is a ship exclusive mineable for now. We also introduced some new resources like genelite. Genelite is exclusively found in caves, and it's only mineable with FPS. And the reason why we wanted to introduce that is that, like, from the data that we gather from all of you playing, is no one uses FPS mining as a game
I think we're gonna go up here.
for players to know where they have to go to.
Yeah. So this was like the original place where they talked about this actually happening, this resource balancing.
The hull scraping gameplay, so you already got a glimpse of it. But what is important there is that we get a better control of where to find certain materials. And also, from our perspective, it's more interesting for players to know where they have to go to find certain material types. So what we did is we defined standard materials and quality or like rarity-based materials. Standard materials are something like copper, like iron, like something that you know from real life is used in basically every item that you find around. And those have distinct locations now within Stanton. For example, aluminum you can only find around Crusader, where copper you can only find around Microtech, which, so as a disclaimer, this can change during our development, but just to give you an idea that we now have distinct location where you can find these defined standard materials. That doesn't mean
It's an iterative process.
Take it for the reality.
All right. So as you guys know, raw ore is specifically mined at mining outposts. We've got plenty of different kinds of locations across the Stanton system. But in this case, for example, on Yella, we can see ArcCorp has a mining outpost here. On Daymar, we've got Shubin and ArcCorp mining outposts. And then I believe that Selin only contains a hydro farm and research outpost. These little icons here, those are locations that will be receiving a freight elevator for the 3.24 patch, and that's where cargo hauling missions can currently take place. And then these locations will be available as sort of pickup locations for a mission that asks you to move titanium ore, and you'll be asked to move those to Seraphim Station, which is the LEO, and from there, Seraphim Station will connect those ores to Crew L1, which is the closest Lagrange point with a refinery. And at that point,
what kind of purposes, what kind of uses would titanium have? Like, why would titanium need to be spread around the system?
Titanium is worth crap now, isn't it?
oh, well,
Right now, yeah, it doesn't seem to have much use, but
well, actually,
But-
titanium from the Lagrange point can be sent to a number of different kinds of locations. Hurston, for example, if you've visited the renewed Lorville cityscape, you'll see that it has loads of different kinds of production facilities and industry. So it will be used for construction there, it might be used in all sorts of tools. It will also be transported back to Crusader from Crew L1 because, for example, the shipyards on Orison, they'll be making ship components with titanium or be using it maybe for decoration.
I want to add something here, again, because I don't even have to look at the chat. I've been doing this for 10 years now. These things that we're talking about, this is 324 stuff. These are, we are showcasing the work that went into creating the very new cargo missions that are part of the upcoming 324.
Oh, I'm gonna have to change my video. God. Oh boy. Thank you for the sub, Liquids guys. Appreciate you. That's exciting that this is 324 stuff though. It's good to see, it's good to hear that, I mean, I guess these are the missions we were expecting with this, so this is stuff we expected, but I like hearing it.
Patch. So this isn't a concept for something much farther out. This is the process and the very information we're using to create the next missions that are going to be in your hands.
Exactly. So from there,
Nah, I'm not going to change the video.
titanium can basically go everywhere. If there are other star systems that maybe have a deficit of some kind of commodity, it doesn't have to be titanium, that means it'll be transported over to Everest Harbor, where it can be shipped out to different kinds of systems as well.
so you're talking like through
through the jump points.
Exactly.
In this case, you know, the jump points aren't active yet, as we know, but we do have
Yo,
missions
Magnus is so far out there. Oh my God. Jesus. That, like, a jump from Crusader to Magnus is like the same length as a jump from Crusader to, like, ArcCorp, you know? Or Microtech. That's way out there. Imagine going anywhere to the Magnus jump point. Like, what if you're running a route from Terra out to Magnus? This is like a 20-something minute. It's got to be 20+ minutes in quantum travel, right? On like one of the slower drives. That's wild. Is that the real distance? I don't know. Maybe. I assumed it was, but they might not be. They can always change. What's the subject of the new video? Everything in 324 as of Friday, which has now changed because now we know more about the cargo missions.
that allow you to drop off commodities at these jump points, where then hypothetically, you know, they'd be sent through to the other side. So yeah, we could see that the different LEOs are sort of connected to Hurston. Hurston is the main point of contact for sort of interstellar cargo hauling travel.
It's in the middle.
And from there, different missions go to the three jump points in the Stanton system.
So when you say different missions, that sounds like a lot of missions.
Oh yeah, every single one of these steps that I mentioned, from an outpost to the LEO, to the refinery, to all these other places, every single one of those connections is a mission. And we've made them for nearly every single commodity in the game.
Oh my God, I'm shaking on the inside. This is like, I had questions. Remember we were talking about these? I'm sorry I'm stomping so much. This is exciting for me. We were talking about this last year. Like, what happens, where does the missions actually come from when like a planet needs materials? Does it come from the actual landing zone of the planet? Does it come from the LEO station that supposedly receives cargo for that planet? Does it come, like, how do the missions propagate out? And I'm guessing they'll talk about that.
So that is a lot of connections and a lot of different commodities and a lot of different missions that you could play.
That is a lot.
So how about, when it comes to the titanium example, we just decide to build one for the showcase.
So, well, you said that it could get to Seraphim.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it needs to be refined.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So where's the nearest refinery to Seraphim?
We'll make a mission that brings titanium from Seraphim Station to Crew L1, the Lagrange point with the refinery.
Okay.
What we do to make missions, if you've seen the previous episode where we made missions with Elliot Maltby, is this program called DataForge. DataForge is the place where we create different mission records that are then essentially loaded into the game when they're done. And when you open your MobiGlass and look into the Contracts app, that's where you'll see every single one of these listed. So there's a lot of them there. We're going to just show how, one is made, essentially. I'm just going to be filling in some of these fields, but you guys can go ahead and answer some questions in the meantime if you want to.
Still Tomo 2 says, so
I wonder
Quanta
what
is dead. This is just set stuff? No.
Did they just say Quanta? I wonder max instances what that is referring to. Does that mean the mission itself can be spawned 4 different times? And is that because is that to add a robust level to the commodity being traded? Because like if let's say the game actually runs on this sim and certain amounts of stuff need to be delivered to a station, if 3 out of 4 of those players don't deliver it but 1 does, is that what like handles it and then the store is restocked? Is that why you would need max instances? I don't know, but instances is interesting.
I'm going to guess that, what Vengeance's mind is saying, bro, we just answered that 3 minutes ago. It was more like 10 minutes ago, and maybe still Tomo just got here. But yeah, this is where you guys can help. Instead of putting another chatter down, just share the information they might have missed, or maybe they were in the kitchen making a sandwich, or maybe they were in their room punching their chair. I mean, people have things to do, and they might miss key pieces of information over the hour. So we can help those people out. Just like this. But no, Quantum is still in development. We're hoping that you're going to hear some more of that too as the team gets built up. And I know Benoit's spending some more time now that Benoit's fully integrated in the project with the merger with Turbulent stuff. There's a lot more involvement that he's got and stuff. And we're looking to, I was just talking to Andre, we're looking to hopefully do something a little more dedicated to the ongoing development of Quantum. I'm going to say before the end of this year is a reasonable expectation.
I thought we were going to get it this.
I don't want to do anything more than that. I mean, us and schedules.
I thought it was going to be this quarter.
That's not it coming out. That's when I can tell a story about it. Is what I'm talking about. So.
The amount of messages I got, or like comments that said Quantum is dead, your video is wrong after that video. God.
The current system and the hauling. So
it's
like
not. It's there.
And the hauling missions at all. So like Yorit mentioned, start with currently, obviously, people can trade commodities, and they can haul quite large amounts, but they have to put up the capital to buy the commodities to start with, and then they have to trade them and make a profit on them, which is completely valid gameplay, and the hauling missions are not intended to replace that. It's just that the hauling missions will allow players who don't necessarily have the capital and want to engage in that kind of gameplay to still use the freight elevators, use their cargo ships, and move cargo from A to B. Of course, the difference is that the hauling missions are contracted. So an organization, say, who would it be? Kovalex? Who would?
Redline?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah,
would put up a contract that says we need this amount of titanium transporting from here to here, and we need it doing within this time. And so anybody that wants to take that contract is going to get paid this amount of money to do that. As opposed to, if you wanted, you could go get some gold, buy it from here, take it to there, and sell it for a profit. So both of those types of gameplay are going to be happening in parallel and will enable people with varying amounts of capital to progress as they want to through the universe.
But how?
And you'll see,
how are those missions
some
given?
Examples of those missions in action in ISC in 2 weeks from tomorrow. Next week's show is another experiment that'll definitely make some people punch their chairs. And then we're back to normal stuff the following week. And
He's
that's
really
these
digging
two
that
guys
joke.
and Elliot and everybody else
That's
back talking about the new Blockade Runner event, and then we're actually showing you a lot of these missions. Well, a few of these missions that we're talking about today. So active and working in 324.
Cool. In the meantime, I've filled in all the information that I could. A lot of it was sort of pre-filled in because I'm actually working with header records that sort of persist all of the information down to any sort of new cargo hauling mission I make. So a lot of this stuff is already filled in. I just need to do the details of this particular mission. And now we've reached a point where I'm gonna need some help with the economy. So as you can see, I've filled in the fact that this hauling order is going to contain some titanium, and it's now time to figure out how much SCU we actually need moving.
Jackson Space says 2 weeks from tomorrow, ISC on a Saturday? Come here, come here. Do I look like I know the difference between tomorrow and yesterday?
Not with hair that short.
Nobody's ever looked at this face and said, that guy knows the difference between tomorrow and yesterday.
Ah, Jared. Somebody get this man a vacation. And a spa trip.
All right, Nick, what do we do?
Well, I think we should use a convenient little economy tool that I made to work out what the EVR should be for this mission.
And what's EVR?
So, EVR is effort versus reward. EVR is a universal algorithm that allows us to balance the effort that anybody puts in for anything with the amount of reward that they should get for it.
That's a huge upgrade. The economy is needed
It could be
a
reputation,
lot.
it could be all manner of things coming soon TM. But it basically allows us to create a baseline for calculating fair reward based on time and difficulty.
Raise your hand in chat if you've ever done like a cargo mission or delivery or research mission or something where they have you fly all the way across the system and then you barely get enough to pay for your fuel. This is so needed. That's made it just not worth doing missions a lot of the time. I'm glad that they're doing this finally.
Obviously, there are a lot of other factors that come into all these things, but EVR allows us to have a baseline to work from. So, to get that baseline for one of these missions, the first thing we need to do is decide what grade of mission we're going to do, which is going to tell us how much needs to be taken.
That's right.
What kind of a, oh yeah, okay, so we have the progression, right.
This is the grade progression that we've landed on, which is essentially what kind of missions you get to see as you start in your cargo hauling career when you've not really made a name for
Oh my god, this is a lot of detail. It's gonna be fun making videos next week.
yourself. You're kind of a nobody, and that means the missions that are available to you will be, very low volume, lower risk, and you'll be moving less value and volume as well. So that means the small grades you could see here at the very bottom, those are relatively low in quantity, and then as you progress through the ranks, you'll start unlocking and seeing multiple different kind of other grades show up in your contracts app. So supply grade would be a little bit bigger for the bigger kinds of ships, until at the very end game of your career, when you're really trusted, you've proven yourself, that's when you get to do the really big hauls, and that's when sort of missions will show up that ask you to move things even just from jump point to jump point and stand in places that don't even have you stop here.
Chats.
Oh, jump point to jump point. That'd be crazy. That's kind of simulating doing inter-system trade without stopping at the middle star system. That'd be sick. What I would really like to see from this is the way I view missions in this game, and I guess probably a lot of games, every game, is use missions as like a tutorial, right? If you've got sandbox gameplay, you make missions so people can get introduced to that sandbox gameplay. And I'd love if the later missions here, they kind of, because you have that high reputation and they trust you, they kind of unlock more knowledge of really valuable trade routes. So they're like, hey, you've been doing this normal stuff, but there's actually a really good route that we like to have our trusted people run that, if you take this kind of material from this station to this station, that is one of our best routes. So then you can be like, oh, okay, that's cool. In my own free time, maybe I'll run that on my own and benefit from that above people who have put in the work to upgrade as cargo haulers with these companies. Because those companies know the space better than we do. So they should be able to give us that kind of information. I think that would be a really cool sort of reputation reward. But then you'd have to figure out how to gate the material you're getting so that those people don't just go and make like a YouTube tutorial and everybody knows that route suddenly. I don't know. I would like, though, if like info on which routes to run was something that you did get as you moved up in this area.
It's talking about poop missions.
Poop.
Poop missions.
I mean, is there
Every MMO's got to have a poop mission.
yeah, they're
Agricultural supplies, we do have those as commodities. So if you want to be a poop hauler, we got
Plant food.
Miss you, Elliot.
okay. Well, we should.
What? We're just next door. You want to do something about it? Do something about it. Continue.
All right. In this case, I think the volume of titanium that would have been moved all the way from the different outposts to Seraphim Station would be about supply grade.
It's bigger than small, isn't it?
Yeah.
But maybe let's do a simple one. So maybe supply grade early.
Yep, that sounds good. Titanium is the kind of material, at least the raw ore, that wouldn't be considered that sort of valuable or that risky.
Okay, so why don't we look at a really useful EVR tool? Yeah. Okay, so supply early. Let's find supply early.
Mm-hmm.
Supply early. Okay, so it's telling we're going to have to move between 80 and 112. So I think it's really important to point out that these hauling missions are contracts. So a player is going to take the hauling mission, the contract, to move the commodity that's needed between A and B, but every time they get that mission, it might be a slightly different specific amount of SU, but it's going to be within a range. So supply early in this case is between 80 and 112. And the reason for that is not just variety, it's because different ships have different cargo grid sizes and they allow for different volumes to be moved. So we want to allow players to have that range of experience and to look at the mission and decide for themselves, you know, can I do this in 1 run? Do I need to do this in 2 runs? Do I have a Gatak Sulian, which means I probably need to do it in 58 runs? And so how am I going to approach this? Because that's the logistics. That's what being a hauler is. It's not just pick up the boxes, move and put them down.
Right. Which is what pisses a lot of people off. A lot of people are like, why do we have to worry about how we load our ship? Because that's what cargo haulers like. That's what they want. Give me that juicy box play.
Trial Legion.
Ooh. Should I not have said
There's
that?
a name. Will there be higher
Does that get
EVR
censored?
calculations for the entire Pyro system, or is EVR only calculated across all systems for the moment?
EVR, because it's just time and difficulty, and it isn't a flat curve, it's an exponential curve, can work for any situation anywhere, but it's just a baseline. And when we're designing, we work with mission designers to make sure that the other appropriate considerations are taken into account. So the purpose of EVR is to allow a baseline for an approach to any situation, whether it's structured in missions or whether it's sandbox. I mean, in theory, you could actually reverse it. So instead of saying, for this time and difficulty, how much reward should I get? You could say, given that the amount of reward in this area of space is this, how difficult should it be in time and difficulty to access that? So you can flip it either way.
Okay.
Okay, so let's pick a titanium supply early. Okay.
That's the one.
And as we know, every good mission needs a name, so I think we should call this one Whole Cargo A to B Raw or Titanium Stanton 2 Supply Grade. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds perfect.
Sick, okay.
Solid.
I'll
Rolls off the
change
tongue.
mine then.
Okay, so difficulty, right. What do we think? What's the first thing? Oh yeah, okay, how much combat are we going to be doing? No combat.
Yeah, there's no combat designed in this.
Okay, 0 combat. What's the next one?
You must not play in Stanton.
Oh right, how complicated is it? So I think it's routine.
Yeah, just moving some containers, putting things with your tractor beam on the cargo grid.
All right, so I got to ask right here. Hold on. You said
The Voidy reference was keen.
combat design.
They're referencing all the YouTubers in this one.
But I mean, if this mission spawns closer to Grimhex or
Right,
it was
absolutely.
in, that's a variable that we would change, even
Yes.
though we're not intentionally adding combat
Correct.
to it. You have to take where it's going to
Absolutely.
affect where it's going to happen into
Absolutely. So we know this one is Seraphim to Cruel 1.
it. Oh yeah.
But absolutely, it wouldn't be 0 risk of action in any case where it's not 0 risk.
Absolutely.
Not with Burks out there.
Well,
Another YouTuber.
yeah.
See, what did I say? YouTubers are ruining this
so-
game. They're changing everything.
We aren't going to be breaking a sweat
No,
because it's not complex.
not very complicated.
And
Barely even breaking a sweat. Is that an official term?
yeah,
or-
these are for designers.
Okay.
And I think we need to know how to fly Dock and Quantum.
Yeah, that would be preferable if you're going to do these
I think
missions.
so. All right,
Yeah.
so it says easy.
Easy mission.
Okay.
There will be a whole range for other ones as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
They're going to go all the way
interesting.
up to the top.
This is a cool
This is
calculator.
also one of those times I'm going to rely on chat to remind people of this throughout the show. This is a simple front end created to start a conversation, to have this with you and stuff. Obviously, Quantum's still in development. The stuff gets automated and stuff when all the variables go. But tools like this are great to check our answers. Basically, you do it here in a simplified, where all design starts, an Excel spreadsheet. And then you do the same thing in Quantum, and when you get the same results, you're like, okay, Quantum's good. And when it's not, you find out where the problem is. So for the purposes of this show, we're showing you the simple tools, the little troubleshooting tools that we use. So, okay.
All good.
Absolutely, yeah. EVR is an algorithm, it's not an Excel spreadsheet. This is just for illustrative purposes.
This is one of those times where we have to trust the audience. Share the message.
Yeah.
Felipe, that's a good question about the looting. I don't know.
Part of EVR is
They've got an
Yes.
issue with
We're going
that.
to figure out how long this mission would take, more or less.
Okay, so I just happen to know, based on numbers that we have tested internally, that somewhere in the middle, let's say around 95, because that's between 80 and 110, that would take you around 4.5 minutes to load, and you're going to have to load it and unload it. So let's put 9 in loading.
Okay.
Now you're going Seraphim to Cruel 1, so there's no orbits involved, so that's 0 and 0 on those two.
Trying to leave or enter atmosphere would increase the time.
It would, because you're going to have to get through the 10K and back again. And then the actual quantum travel is, what, a minute between Seraphim? I mean, generously, it's probably
Something
30
like
seconds,
that.
but if we call
Spooling
it,
up and everything, yeah.
Okay, so that is 10 minutes total.
Mm-hmm.
So we have
Wait, how did they
the mission,
calculate
we
9
have the
minutes?
difficulty, we have
How did they calculate 9 minutes loading?
it would now load, and you're going to have to load it and unload it. So let's put 9 in loading.
Okay.
Just because.
Now
And everything, yeah.
we have the mission, we have the difficulty, we have the time. So if we hit the magic calculate button, again, just as a caveat, this is an illustrative tool. This is not the way that we work out EVR for all of the missions. That involves code and algorithms. But if you hit the magic button,
Hit it.
then somebody knows how to write script
There we go.
in Excel. And it makes a little pretty number. Now I know that there's a lot of people looking at that going, 4,000 UEC, that's ridiculous. What's the point? If you take into account, this is
I mean, that's 20. That's like 24,000 an hour doing that route. That's a very simple route. So generally, you're going to want to give. Oh, okay. Just lost my HDMI for a second. Generally, that's going to be you're going to be giving that to the beginnerest of the beginners, but still, that's a fairly high rank mission to begin that sort of a payout.
10-minute mission. So if you were organized, you could do maybe 5 of these an hour. So then you're looking at 20K, or you could maybe even do a bit more if you had a friend.
20K an hour is awful, but this also brings up the whole thing that like we don't really know where the balance of what missions get what payout, or how valuable money is yet. We don't even understand that. So
Helping you. So
Yeah, the comparison is going to be a tricky thing right now, because all anybody rightfully knows and understands is how it's been before.
absolutely.
You know, as this begins to develop, a new scale will begin to emerge. As this continues to evolve, as this begins to grow, the idea of what 4,000 credits is will change
100%.
over time. Some people will embrace it, some people won't. Some people will punch chairs. Yeah, I'm on that. I just found out about it like 5 minutes before the show, so it's like new information to me.
we can tell, Jared.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind, that this is a scale that will continue to evolve and change and stuff like that.
We can actually illustrate that. So here's one I prepared earlier. If you just pick a slightly later one, supply late, okay, and so then we need a titanium one for supply late, which is going to be many more, so somewhere around 300, 400 SCU. And this one is a multi-4. So what does that mean, multi-4?
That means that this mission has been generated to multiple locations in a single haul. So the one we've been doing and been discussing is you've got one location where you pick things up and one location where you drop things off. But actually, within the Stanton universe, sometimes it's just more efficient to send a single supply ship to either deliver or collect cargo from multiple nearby outposts. So in this case, that's one of those examples where you'll be asked to do a slightly more complicated mission. You've got to pick things up in one place. I believe this one will be from Seraphim Station, and then you've got to deliver it in any sort of different order. And that means, you know, the mission will be taking a bit longer.
And that means you've got to consider completely different things, like how do you pack, how do you load your cargo bay? If you're going to go to this place first, you don't want to put that in the middle.
Yeah.
You want to put that near an edge. So you have to actually think about the logistics of how you're unpacking and packing the cargo bay and what will fit and what you're doing it in what order and that kind of stuff.
And that will become especially interesting once you find missions that ask you to deliver multiple commodities to multiple locations. Because what you can't do is pack, you know, all the titanium in the back and then, you know, all the iron or what it would be in the front, because then once you arrive at your first location, they ask you for a little bit of titanium and a little bit of iron. Well, gotta undo it all.
And that's the cargo hauling. That's why physicalizing the cargo is important, because you got to figure out how to load your ship too.
Take it all again. So this really asks you to have knowledge of your ship and to understand how to do the logistics of putting things on your cargo grid.
It's what we need.
Which is probably the. There's a lot of big changes in 324, but that's probably the one that.
Yeah.
There are people who understand it. There, you know, there are people who understand it and understand the fundamental change that is to Star Citizen. But I still think it's
really
gonna
important.
surprise some folks. You know, it's like, oh, like now so many more tasks that were meaningless before now have additional weight, have additional importance.
Because what's the point of emphasizing all these different ships they make if they don't actually make a difference?
No number you ever see in ISC or SCL is ever the final number. Ever.
That's true.
We're always work in progress.
Okay.
So actually, this is a good example of a different one. So because we have a multi-4, we're in and out of what?
He says, don't go punching your chair over it. Sorry.
Because we're in and out of orbit, because we have to go to more places, this is no longer a zero risk of action.
Mm-hmm.
So I reckon there's a distinct possibility of some kind of PvE. I mean, you could get unlucky, you might get pirated by Burks or anyone else. Other pirates are available, Voidy. So you're going to need moments of intense concentration. I would say you're going to be more than breaking a sweat. You might even lose your cargo. Your ship could get damaged. And you're going to need those mechanics. So that is now a medium.
Ah.
So that's obviously going to ramp it up on the EVR scale. But also the time is different. So we did some quick calculations, and we think that in total, it would take you to deliver this cargo in 16 SCU boxes, which is what a supply late grade is, 43 minutes to load and unload all of those different times. Now, if you had a crew, you might be able to do that quicker. Mm-hmm. If you were smart, how you packed it, you might be able to do it quicker. If you play the game better and smarter and faster, you're going to do better. Mm-hmm. You're going to need to do 3 orbits.
Yep, from Seraphim down.
This is Tomato's hand featuring.
Down.
And you're going to need 4 downs. So 3 ups and 4 downs.
Yep.
And you're going to need 9 minutes of quantum travel in between.
Okay.
So that is.
What does moments of
an
intense
hour
concentration mean? Why am I concentrating so intensely?
For just that one mission.
Yep.
So if you press the magic button now, it's definitely not magic, it's just XL.
Ah.
Okay, so that's how EVR scales. So you could do it quicker and faster with more people, and then you could do it in less than an hour.
You got to split that money.
And then you could afford to pay people to fly with you, and you could do all manner of things if you think about it.
It's going to get so complicated when you have to consider paying out for crew and how many people you need to take with you and whether the job is worth that. Also making sure those people get enough entertainment during that cargo hauling mission. Like, there's a lot after this part to go into that equation.
They calculate time as sort of like a par for the course.
That's a great analogy.
This is what we expect it to be. It's not that it can't take longer. It can.
Oh yeah.
It's not that it can't be done quicker. It
Absolutely.
can.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Par for the course would be this. Mm-hmm. And if you get a birdie or better, you're making more money.
Exactly. All right. I think that means we've now found out the numbers that I need.
4,250. The other one was 4,250.
All right. Do you remember the SEU?
Yes,
amount?
I do, because it's definitely not written down on this piece of paper. 80 and 112.
I'm gonna go do a thing. You guys keep going.
All right.
An 8, yeah. And
Go to
this
the computer here.
is a 4,250.
That would be the payout.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
We save it from here, and basically that's how you make a single cargo hauling mission.
Yay!
So there's a lot more of these, a whole host of different records that the system can generate, but this is the mission that we just discussed on the map, which is a hauling mission from Seraphim Station to the refinery, and that's what it would look like.
Is that description correct? Yeah?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
correct.
Right.
So we can quickly go in game, so I can show you what that looks like.
Maybe
I wonder
we
if the
should
numbers are real.
just make sure that everything is right before we do that.
No, keep going.
It's all right. Okay.
I just gave David a little button he could push.
Normally, what we would do is, we would save this thing, boot the bootstrap, start the client. If you've seen Elliot's episode, then you know the whole shebang. But actually, we can find one that I made earlier.
Are you saying we're more organized than Elliot?
That's not hard.
Woof. No comment.
He's right
You
next
can-
door.
yeah, good job. You can hide the just bring the letters back up when you feel like it's necessary.
So here we are on Seraphim Station, which is, as you know, the location where this mission can be found. And here in the contract app, we can see there's a new tab available now called Hauling, and there we go. That's our mission.
It's real.
It's existing right now in the game.
That's the mission you just
Yeah.
clicked on the.
Yep.
Who's Jack Axton?
Jesus. Remember, transport 101 SCU to this station. 4,200. We'll have to get used to that. Whatever, there's because the economy isn't an economy yet, we can't even say that's low. Maybe it costs not that much to, maybe you can get a lot with that. But we know how ship prices are going up, so I don't know. I think worrying about what they're saying in terms of payouts for these missions, despite the fact that these numbers aren't even real, just the fact that their calculator came up with it, I think isn't super reliable, because there's so much that they have to consider going forward. Hey, Jack Axton reference. YouTubers are taking over Star Citizen. Let me tell you.
Who knows?
Who knows? Only Jack Axton knows.
No, I'm serious. I don't know who that is.
It's a guy who makes YouTube videos.
Oh,
Come on, Jared.
About cargo.
Cargo
mostly.
hauling, yeah. So we know you. We've seen you, and this is a mission for you. Absolutely.
This is actually only for Jack.
I mean, it says in the description, "Hello, Jack Axton." Nobody else should accept this mission.
oh, Jack Axton. He's friends with Max Power.
Jack will be on the he'll be on the podcast this week, because we'll be talking in depth about this. We've been waiting. We have been literally waiting week after week after week after week for like 3 months to talk about this stuff. So it should be a good one on the podcast next. Sorry, he's not going to be on it this week. This week we're talking about 324. He'll be on it next week to talk about cargo hauling.
Got it. Love Max Power.
So as you can see, this is sort of what the contract would look like in your mobiGlas. There is a new little feature here which previews the different objectives that this mission will require from you. So again, if this is a multi sort of delivery mission, that means more objectives will show up. But the mission that we discussed earlier, which is moving titanium ore from Seraphim Station to Crew L1, that's what this mission is about.
King's Shaka says, can they explain what the expected rewards will be? Well, in a way, that's what we've been trying to do for the last 20 minutes or so. We're showing you the EVR algorithm. We're showing you some of the considerations that are made. As far as what the actual numbers will be, that's a thing that, quite honestly, will always be in flux. You know, and anybody who's worked on an MMO in the past, anybody who's played an MMO for several years will tell you that an economy is an ever-changing, ever-fluctuating thing. And at the scale that we're attempting to simulate across multiple star systems and stuff, it will be here too. So whatever that number reads today will not be what that number is however many weeks or months after that, will not be however it is however many weeks or months after that. That is the virtue of quantum, which is, again, still the system in development, still where all this goes eventually. It's just, we're at a point now where it's like 324 is so important to us, cargo is here. It's like, we don't have to wait until the finished thing to start laying the foundation of these new types of missions. We can use these other tools that we have. We can simulate all the same decisions, and then it's just a matter of, you know, plugging it into the system when that eventually comes online. So it's one of the more exciting aspects of 324 personally. I mean, I know all the hangar stuff and everything's cool, but the idea that we're going to have these more involved missions that, you know, go from chain from one point to another point from another point that are generated based on, you know, the need and stuff that you've been talking about is probably for me it's the signature element of 324. And again, in 2 weeks on ISC we'll be talking about some of the content that's coming in 324, including a whole bunch of these missions we'll be showing you.
They shouldn't have been talking about quantum, what, 2, 3, 4 years ago now, saying that it was like, we're getting the, I mean, like, in the video I did, you can go back and watch it a couple months ago, I showed Tony Z straight up saying, yeah, this is going to be, you know, we're starting to implement some of these pieces of quantum in the next year. Like, this did not need to be said. Did not.
Robo Yoritz, me. So all of this, you know, the Miro that I've shown you earlier, all of this whole rule set of what needs to go where, that system can be automated somewhere in the future, and then when that system hooks into
there's many working parts to the back end systems, which are variously called quantum or StarSim or whatever they're called, and just like Jared said, this is an illustration of our intent. It's not the final working system.
Well, we will be trying to plug in, and we're going to get you a second computer, and we'll be trying to play this mission next week and actually show you live one of the new cargo missions that you'll be playing in 324.
You could just do it right now.
Vengeance is Mine says, do these cargo things have a buy-in?
No, because so originally the design for the cargo missions was, how are we going to make sure that players don't just decide this is a perfect opportunity to take a cargo grid of stuff for themselves? So they need a buy-in. But of course, that feels just the same as commodity trading, where you have to have the money in order to do the thing. And that didn't feel inclusive enough. And also, at a very large scale, you want to be able to use your large ship to do long, complex logistical exercises. If you also have to risk a huge amount of money to do that at the same time, you fail once, that doesn't feel good either. So the whole design ethos changed to allow this to be an environment that people could play and thrive in if they follow the rules. But if they didn't want to follow the rules, then because it's a sandbox, people will do whatever they will do. And the interesting thing is that these are not mission boxes. These are real commodity boxes and that are being transported. And so if you were to misappropriate those boxes and do something else with them, they would be considered stolen cargo, and they are marked as owned by the corporation that has given you them to transport. So you would have to sell them at a fence, and you wouldn't be getting full market value for them.
Yeah, because even fences consider these...
We don't really have an ownership system on cargo yet. And I wonder if that was a little hint at maybe the possibility of doing that. Because I feel like for a lot of cargo haulers, the end game would be building up your cargo empire and then buying all these ships. And then instead of flying them, getting other players into your org or your group and having them fly the ships and then redistributing the profits, right? Basically running a cargo company, a logistics company where other people are actually moving the cargo with your own ships. So you kind of want to have an ownership system in place for that. And I don't think they've ever talked about the idea of a faction owning something that you could interact with. But I might be wrong.
cargo containers to be high risk. Everybody knows that they are, originating from sort of a reputable source. These major corporations of Stanton are basically trading above our heads, and really, whenever they need you, they'll just sort of hire you as a space trucker, which means a fence location that gets their hands on these, chances are they'll probably give you a significant portion less.
Duran says, so no missions will have buy-ins now. No. We're talking about the differential between commodity missions and cargo missions.
Yeah, specifically hauling missions, yeah.
Yeah, so these are a specific new type of mission that do not have the buy-in.
Yep.
The original missions that require those commodity missions still exist, and we'll still be making more and more of those. We got a whole nother star system to fill, and then another one after that, another one after that. Those missions don't go away. These are a new type of mission that exists alongside those.
Buy-in is a completely valid mechanic, and it's useful for certain archetypes, but we didn't want to use buy-in for hauling missions.
Because this allows us to essentially build the hauling experience for even, the early game, where usually sandbox commodity trading would require you to already have capital, as we mentioned before. Here you can go ahead and accept, some of these space trucker missions from the corporations. And at the beginning it will be sort of low value, low risk kind of thing. But after a while, they'll really start counting, and after a while maybe you'll be comfortable enough to the point where you'll think of starting your own little freelance business and going off and buying commodities in the sandbox.
So what does happen?
There you go.
You've accepted one of these hauling missions. You haven't had to put up any capital up front. You've now collected all of these boxes, and say you do lose one, or one gets damaged, or whatever.
Yep.
What happens to you?
So, nothing ever goes wrong in Star Citizen. I mean, you literally, stairs are fine, right? But just in case something did go wrong.
There are never any problems. Nothing goes
Just in
wrong.
case something did go wrong.
Tons and tons of progress.
Pirate comes by, for
I mean, for example, a pirate.
because
but
the commodities have real values.
yeah, or maybe the cargo grid misbehaves,
Yep.
or whatever. Or maybe you run out of time. Maybe you decide that you're definitely going to do that supply late mission in your Aurora.
Yeah, these companies expect their cargo to be moved within a reasonable deadline.
So you have the option to complete the mission early, essentially. So you have the complete button, and if you press the complete button, what it will do is the mission will take where you currently are at, and it will submit that as your best effort. And then you will get a partial reward in terms of money and reputation if you do well enough. And if you don't do well enough, you will get a partial slap on the wrist in terms of reputation. So if you decided to mislay 80% of your cargo grid's worth of titanium, then the people who asked you to transport it probably wouldn't be offering you that mission again anytime soon.
So you take a rep hit.
Right.
You might make a little money off the side fencing it.
Right.
But you're going to take a rep hit, and your future opportunities from that particular guild will be diminished.
Correct.
That is good fun. Oh my gosh. We were just talking about the idea of getting high up in a gang and then sabotaging their operations to, for personal gang. Like if you're in Pyro and you get into the space station, just like murdering everybody, making it easy for the bounty hunters to come in or something. This is like the opposite side of it. Like you could be in a piracy gang and you could work your way up all the way up to the top of Covalix till you get the most valuable cargo. And then you could just screw it. Give up your rep, fence that stuff for a deal that maybe happened to pop up and make you a ton more money. And like, it's not game over. It's not you failed the mission. It's literally, oh, you did that. Well, this is how we respond. And you have to pay for that. This is like the reputation stuff. It's been such a long time coming. These are good combinations of features.
Exactly.
So yeah, that is essentially it.
I also like that they're going to be like, oh, you don't have to complete the whole mission. We know you might have to leave in the middle of a mission. Here's a way to partially complete it.
That mission givers can give in addition to UEC, like small gifts, or if you have a good standing, a six-pack or some food. Super small staff that makes mission givers feel like people that sometimes throw in a non-monetary bonus. So basically mission rewards, besides just money. I think this is, from the birth of the mission system, this has been the #1 top tier, most requested thing, and we started to see the very first bits of that with Xenothread and Operation Overdrive. Started to see quest rewards beyond just the UEC. Can this be expected at some point for?
So I don't want to speak to the entire progression system because that is a design owned by someone else, but EVR is designed to handle any kind of reward. So maybe.
I believe
yes.
We mentioned in last year's CitizenCon that the reputation system will be including this sorts of rewards depending on the kind of guilds.
Yeah, they straight up showed us one in this last Inside Star Citizen. They snuck this in. This is going to be a rep reward. There's I have no doubt this is not something that you can buy. You're going to get it by earning rep with the guild. So I think they've been pretty clear about that. They even, at CitizenCon, they were like, this is stuff you can only get in game.
I can just go ahead and say, he won't speak for it, but I can go ahead and say that yes,
Metaboss
obviously
strict.
the
Sick.
reputation-based
Nobbin.
rewards through the organization system are one way in which you'll receive items that are not just money, but also there is an ongoing effort to evolve the mission system itself to be able to just outright award items beyond just money. So when that gets used, where that gets used, that's going to be the discretion of the game design team and the folks who are creating the missions and stuff. But the tech is there, and it's being worked on, and you should see more of that, just like you saw with the Overdrive and Xenothread stuff, in the near future, or in a future. I honestly have no idea when.
Shout out to Luke Presley making the reputation system.
Luke, I miss you.
Love you.
I mean, he's still here. I just haven't talked to him. It sound like he died.
I was talking to him yesterday about this same exact thing.
That said, these missions also aren't just, built by the mission design team and the economy team in a vacuum.
No, absolutely.
The whole reason why you might remember seeing Elliot Maltby on the stream building a mission previously, he had to open up the subsumption editor to do the node-based logic and that sort of stuff. These cargo hauling missions have been completely built with code, basically. So shout out to our programming team as well, CGP6, Team Dave, for helping out and setting up all the the logic and the code in the back end.
CGP6, we've got to get better at naming things.
Core Gameplay Team 6.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what's telling you that CIG needs to get better at naming, Jared? We've been talking about quantum half the show, man. We know. We know well.
Yep, that's it right now.
Dave.
And also thanks to Team Chat, of course, for building the freight elevators, because without those, this wouldn't even be possible.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This bothers me, so I'm going to reveal it. There was an effort made to give all these teams really cool names, but nobody could decide whether they wanted to be named after corporations or named after vehicles, like Team Anvil or Team Valkyrie and stuff like this.
Should have been corporations.
And because we couldn't get a consensus, that's why they're still called GPC6. Okay, that's just some dirty laundry, and it upsets me still that we don't have the cool names, and so.
Could have been Team Shubin.
As far as we talk about the types of things that you could haul, somebody in the chat is, unfortunately, his name is scrolled by. I've lost it. He asked, how big a thing are we talking about? Could there conceivably be delivering vehicles and stuff like a whole haul of the new Auroras to some other place for a showroom or something?
Mm-hmm. So we do have a design for hauling vehicles, but that won't be for this release. Currently, for the release, we're basically making use of the different sort of resource containers. So that will mean anywhere from 1 SCU to, I believe, 16 SCU. Is that right?
32.
32 as well. Yeah. So that means it's basically all sorts of shapes and sizes and organizations to do within the cargo grid.
So that sounds like there's not going to be a variety of cargo, like explosive cargo, cargo that can't be quantum traveled, stuff like that. Maybe they're not going to do variety of cargo. They just want to get this in with basic cargo first. I don't know. We'll see.
It says delivering rocks to mining outposts. Rocks, maybe. Nobody would order a rock DS.
Food?
All right, I thought it literally meant delivering rocks to mining outposts. I was like, surely a mining outpost would have loads of rocks already.
Wait, I was thinking like actual boulders. You're just chucking boulders in the back of your ship and flying them too.
rocks.
They want to ship out all the rocks.
Baibu says, let's do the mission, Jared, next Friday. Basically, we've only got a few minutes left before we have to wrap up this week, so there's not enough time to even get started. So we play in a local bootstrap version of the game. It takes a bit longer to load up and stuff. Plus, we're going to get a second computer in here next week, so we're going to make it, Nick and Yorit couldn't decide who the better player was, so I'm just going to make them both play the mission. It won't be me, I'm terrible. Any new commodities you can tease? I know we're talking specifically about the cargo missions, but there been any new commodities?
I think there are, but I couldn't tell you what they are, but Connor would know. But I think there are new commodities, yes.
Are there new commodities unique to Pyro?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Connor is your man for that. He knows everything about that.
Connor?
Why are you on the other side of the planet?
No, we are trying to make use of as many commodities as possible, which is why I went through every single one in the game, and I tried to make sense, building this whole infrastructure, figuring out what should go where.
I appreciate
which means you might actually come across some commodities that you haven't seen before. For example, we've definitely got some missions set up where you're moving quantum fuel, hydrogen fuel, ship ammunition, and that turns out that this is actually the commodity that is being removed from a location whenever a player lands at a hangar and asks for a refuel and a rearm.
I will say that there are commodities.
Then we get to the question of like the problem we've always had is that there's not enough capacity in the game because all the servers are connected. So if you're talking, he's saying when you take these missions, you're actually removing those materials from the place. Are those amounts of materials going to be boosted in these areas, or is it possible that you could run into a mission and not be able to pull out the commodity they're telling you to because all the servers are connected to the same thing? That's really bugged a lot of cargo haulers for a long time, has been just the limited amount of materials and also the limited amount of demand for those materials. But this is mostly focusing on the mission side of things. So I don't even know if they'll touch on that.
Specific to Pyro. I know that much.
Right.
What's specific?
Asks for a refuel and a rearm.
I will say that there are commodities specific to Pyro. I know that much.
Right. We've had a mission or two in the past where a vehicle was actually provided to do the mission. Somebody in the chat is asking if we'd ever revisit that. Like, could one of these cargo missions be like, yeah, I got the ship. It's all loaded. I just don't have a pilot to fly it for me. Do we have a space for something like that?
This is something that I actually spoke about with some other designers, and we decided to not do that this time because there are a lot of different kinds of considerations that come with that. For example, what if you damaged a ship? Currently, that would probably get you a crime stat because you're damaging somebody else's vehicle, just like you would do another player. Would you have to deliver that vehicle back to the owner in some way? And that adds a whole bunch of different steps and considerations for the loss system.
You could rent. If you didn't own the ship, you could rent the ship.
I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's just a question of, you basically have the mission giver basically rent you the ship, so it is yours during the time being. And stuff like
yeah, for sure.
That'd be great for a tutorial.
Time's up, Jared. No, we still got time.
No, we still have time.
Will we see NPC ships also making these same hauling runs, or will transfers just run in the background?
God, I wish.
So that's actually a StarSim Quantum conversation, and the sensible answer is it depends. What you're essentially asking is, will NPCs in the StarSim system be physicalized?
Yeah, will they
That's
be
essentially
rendered?
the question you're asking, and the answer is it depends.
Yeah, and that's been in the quantum design for forever. I'm sorry, I'm still not used to calling it StarSim. There will be a selection of them that are physicalized, and then the overwhelming majority of them will not be, just because there's no use taking the performance hit for that.
Right.
So the answer to how many will almost certainly come down to a performance thing. As the game continues to evolve, and as server meshing comes online, and we start seeing the various performance improvements that we get from that, as all the game systems are hardened and developed in line with server meshing, and those begin to harden, we start to see all these performance improvements that I swear we're all dying for it just as much as you are. That will determine how many of those other ones we can physicalize and put in there and stuff. Because
that is a scary question, because everybody wants to see a lot of cargo haulers coming in and out of these stations over ArcCorp and Hurston. Like, it only makes sense. There's tons of people living down there, tons of supplies needed. Everybody wants to fly into a space station and see things actually happening. And it would really suck if performance dictated that you could only see 5 to 10 ships flying around at any time near those stations, or else, they start to limit NPCs.
There's not a person who works here that doesn't want to see that line of ships leaving Area 18 and going up into orbit and hitting quantum and stuff. We all want it. I guess, but it will always come down to a question of, do we have that or do we have another player? And we're always going to pick another player first. So that's not a question that we have an answer for. There will be some amount of it, but we couldn't tell you how many yet.
Yeah, but players
that's actually super interesting that
players
you
are a bit rough,
These missions will tend to concentrate players.
Yeah.
So because the routes are grade specific and the grades are ship specific, then you will tend to find traffic of a certain type on certain routes.
Yeah.
So
the chances are that as more players become available on a server, you'll see actual sort of shipping lanes and logistical
distribution
supply lines.
centers.
Exactly,
Yeah.
all of that sort of form and actually it being player driven.
Glitch Loading says, will there be bounties for when goods are stolen from a cargo mission?
Oh.
Well, because it's real cargo, you being the cargo hauler do have the option, assuming it hasn't glitched out the ship and disappeared forever, you do have the option of retrieving your cargo if you can retrieve it. Because
Sorry,
it is...
gonna rewind a bit because I missed some of that stuff.
Missions will tend to concentrate players.
Yeah.
So because the routes are grade specific and the grades are ship specific, then you will tend to find traffic of a certain type on certain routes.
Yeah.
Yo,
So-
trade lanes.
The chances are that as more players become available on a server, you'll see actual sort of shipping lanes and logistical
Distribution
supply lines.
centers.
Exactly,
Yeah.
all of that sort of form and actually it being player driven.
Yes.
Glitch Loading says, will there be bounties for when goods are stolen from a cargo mission?
Oh.
Well, because it's real cargo, you being the cargo hauler do have the option, assuming it hasn't glitched out the ship and disappeared forever, you do have the option of retrieving your cargo if you can retrieve it. Because it is
Steal it back?
specific cargo for your mission that you need to deliver. It isn't the
Oh my
case
God,
yet
imagine
that
the
you could just replace.
Imagine the freaking situation where you get pirated and you call for backup, but the backup arrives after the pirates have already taken your stuff and gone. So you team up with your backup, go back to the pirates, pirate their ship back, get that cargo, turn it in, and still get paid. What an experience that would be. That's that thing the kids are saying these days, emergent gameplay. You hear them all the time. Gen A, Gen Z, even the millennials, Emergent gameplay, they say. Boomers don't know anything about that. All that stuff.
Replace your missing iron with some other iron.
That would be a different mission type. That would be resource gathering coming in the future, where you're basically asked to just provide them with an item or commodity from anywhere in the universe.
That's not stolen.
Yeah.
Who knows if
probably.
it's stolen, though?
You can scratch the bin off.
Yeah, you don't know where I got my
That
copper.
Be a thing.
A way to legalize stolen.
Yeah.
Again, for a smaller Vic and whatnot.
So if you get pirated on one of these missions, you could totally ask a friend who's a really good shot to come out and follow the baddies and get your cargo back before the timer runs out.
Yeah, that's what I'm
negotiate.
saying.
Sure.
Glitch was just asking if it would automatically generate a bounty mission kind of thing.
I mean, it sort of does, because if the infraction is above a crime stat 3, then a bounty gets generated. So in a way, because it's systemic, the actions of the aggressor will generate a bounty.
This is one of our first times having Nick. The first, you've been.
I can see that not working well.
Before, and then your first ISC will air in about 2 weeks and stuff like this. But you talk with the. Everybody's demeanor is different. Nick has the trauma that only a developer can have. You can see this, the players, who play Star Citizen, they've got all their own stories and how many times they've flew the gate, how many times they've been killed by an elevator and stuff. Developers have a whole other special kind of trauma of just why doesn't this work? Like not even like there's another bug that's causing it to work. Like I just coded this, it should work. Why doesn't it work? And I appreciate how you've hedged some of your answers to like, gosh, if that thing works, yeah, you should be able to do this. And gosh, if that thing works, that's how we don't put spokespeople in front of the camera and stuff.
That's also just playing Star Citizen, though.
I hope you all appreciate.
If it works, then yeah.
It worked on my
Like,
machine.
how often do we start an event in GII and we're like, hey, if this works, then we should be 2 hours, and everybody is like, okay, so it's 4 hours long. We know.
Let's see. Will cargo? The cargo will have a mark like they do now with smaller boxes.
A mark?
A mark.
A mark?
A mark?
I'm not sure what that is.
You will be able to differentiate hauling mission cargo from player-bought commodity cargo. You will be able to differentiate that visually.
Okay.
Currently, you could do that using a tractor beam, where it will actually give you information about the different kinds of things that you're moving. So you'll have information about the commodity that you're moving, but also it should mention whether it's contracted or not. And then further in the future, we're looking into
scanning?
making that information available with your ship scans as well.
Yeah.
So if you're a pirate, you scan a ship. In the future, you should be able to differentiate.
Not just pirates, you could be an escort.
Sure. You should be able to distinguish what cargo is worth taking and what isn't.
All right. Well, that about does it for our time. Thank you so much, Yorit and Nick, for taking the time to put this together. We'll be back, some weirdness notwithstanding, next week to actually play through one of the missions live. This will be your first chance outside of Tech Preview channel stuff to actually see one of the new cargo missions of Star Citizen played live. And then the following week, you'll see ISC, where we'll showcase a couple different ones and a much more compact kind of version of what we're doing these 2 weeks. So like this. If you haven't, check out this week's Inside Star Citizen. Yesterday's episode was our How We Work special on the level design team. Lots of great looks at some aspects of Pyro that you haven't seen, as well as a really nice discussion about taking the lessons we've learned in Stanton and applying them to Pyro. And I know I've seen a lot of the comments are like, "Are you going to apply those lessons back to Stanton?" We sure hope so. It's just a matter of priorities. I'm just being real with you. We would all like to.
I like to hear that.
And
I think we were saying that.
Taking the lessons we've learned in Stanton and applying them to Pyro. And I know I've seen a lot of the comments are like, "Are you going to apply those lessons back to Stanton?" We sure hope so. It's just a matter of
Feeling called out. I mean, dude, that'd be huge, because the stuff that they've done in the new locations coming to Pyro is legitimately a big step up from what we have in Stanton already.
Priorities. I'm just being real with you. We would all like to. And then last week, our Meet the Team weapon content special. So bad it makes people punch the chair even before they've seen a frame of film.
That's a nice chair.
That's a new chair.
These chairs are pretty good. They can take a punch.
I feel like now the provider of the chair is going to need to get in contact with CIG legal. Y'all are defacing our chairs.
And then come back for ISC next Thursday. That's one that'll probably make a couple people punch the chairs. There's not a second of gameplay footage in that episode. That's our Dev Diary episode, where we invited members of the UK networking team to basically tell us all about the 7 major tech preview tests that have gone on between November 2023 and April of this year, where the very first server meshing stuff and the first server recovery stuff. And it's basically just
They're going to talk about that?
It's them telling you how it went and stuff, but it doesn't really look like anything. So it's.
Oh, thank God, dude. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to hear that. The last talk we got about server meshing, they didn't show us anything either. And it was still one of the more important. I guess people did not like that episode, but that's the 4.0 progress update. Who cares about charge and drain and the Zeus and freaking Pyro? Those things can go die in a corner. I don't care. Server meshing is what defines the patch. So like actually getting to get an update on how that's going, I like that.
But it's a dev diary. We're going to try a thing, and then we'll be back with these guys. So You have a week to prepare yourself for an ISC with no B-roll. Punch your chair, punch your friend's chair. Just go to Florida.
Jared, most of us don't have a problem.
You just told me about it like 5 minutes before the show, and I hadn't seen it, I didn't know about it, and it was just right there in the front of my brain.
Bro, rent free.
Don't punch your chairs, people. There's better ways.
Chairs have feelings too.
I'm not gonna go that far, Nick. That's weird. For Star Citizen Live, that's Yort, that's Nick, I'm Jared. Come back next week where we'll actually play a mission live, and we'll see you then. Take care, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
I want to say, before we go, I guess since it's on the screen, can confirm, I believe those are Monster Tech chairs with CIG. And if you didn't know, I have recently become a partner with Monster Tech. So I have really nothing to give you on that right now because I can't do anything, because if they want to ship anything out to us, it costs like 200% of the price because of Turkey's import taxes. But I believe slightly privy to some information that's a real chair. Since it's on the screen, I'm like, I guess it's kind of public knowledge now. I don't know if they've talked about it or not, but it's pretty cool. I'm really, really hoping that they come up with like a pyro-themed chair that's basically just a crappy gaming chair that's falling apart. It's like plastic instead of leather. Bye. All right, bye. Thank you for the episode. That was really good. Let's freaking talk about it. That was good stuff. Oh boyo. Cargo, huh? Who doesn't like a little bit of cargo? You want a Drake branded chair? Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. How's it going, Marcus? Good to see you, buddy. If you want a custom setup with the chair, you can contact them via Discord, and even them your own fabric or wishes for stitching. We are in talks. Like we're partnered with them, so we're emailing back and forth and stuff. Thank you. Yo, Warren, thank you for the membership on YouTube. Appreciate you. Much love. Were you just waiting for Star Citizen Live to end? You hate cargo? Ah! Cargo kick your dog. A cargo box once fell on my house, so I won't hear anything else about them. What do you guys think of this? Cargo's looking good, man. Like this is... Oh, gosh. It's just so good to see. For reference, cargo hauling missions were introduced. I want to say in 3.0 we got them. Let's see. Star Citizen 3.0 patch notes. This is a freaking blast from the past. It's also really funny because this actually looks fairly similar to a combination of 4.0 and 3.23 and 3.24 patch notes. Like if you combine those updates into one, it'd look a lot like this. You scroll down, you see we got a new launcher, 323. We're getting new moons, 4.0. We getting new surface outposts, 323. Mission givers, we don't know much about that. Pick up and carry objects, physical interaction. Interaction and pit menu, interaction just got updated. Item 2.0 on the ships, this is referring to basically all the parts of the ships, which would be the components upgrade we've seen recently. MFDs as well, which are coming in 4.0. You've got the cockpit experience improvements, seeing those in 4.0. Shopping updates, saw that in 323. Cargo updates, 324. Like, it's kind of crazy. Mobi-Glass apps, 323. Star Map, 323. Updated visor, 323. The hint system. So many different things in 3.0 ended up getting updated this year, which is why I keep going back to this whole, it's been 8 years that we've been dealing with some of this stuff, and it's nice to see them updated this year. Cargo is one of those things. I think in here there might be, cargo. You rock. You know that? Can purchase commodities, implementing items to represent units of tradable cargo. I don't know if that included the missions though, or if it was just cargo itself. But it's good to see it getting updated because we've been dealing with this same crappy system that just you either have to spend a bunch of money on cargo that you can lose from 30K and then lose all your money, or you have to fly a bunch of quarter SCU boxes around for nothing. And this is such a big update to the game. Maybe you're not a cargo hauler, but it gets cargo haulers out there and going, which gets pirates out there and going, which gets security out there and going. And this could be just a huge boost to things actually happening in the game. If cargo haulers have a reason to do stuff, everybody else kind of starts having some reasons to do stuff, which is cool. Blackburn, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Say congrats on the partnership. Looking forward to this small progression to the economy. Great content as always. Much love to you. Thank you for watching the content, the videos, the streams. It means a lot. It's the root of gameplay in the game. Yeah, it's the backbone. That's where it all starts. So let's see. Gameplay. Ship damage, IFC, personal manager app. Yeah, I think those delivery missions must have come in 3.0. Economy polish, group system, quantum linking, persistence, items, scramble missions. Yeah, see, this is improvements to retrieval and delivery missions, so they had already put them in 3.0. Simple food chain, exactly. Hey, you want to see something fun? I was doing some, if you watched the feature watch this week, you've already seen it. If you did as well, thank you so much. That was, it's not the normal topic that I cover, and the reception has told me that. I'm probably going to stay away from FPS combat from now on. But I was doing some research for that video, and I noticed if you go back to 3.0, and you look at all of the updates that we got, 3.3.5 doesn't count, and you go down to the weapons section, you'll see that in basically every single update, save for one, as you scroll down this roadmap, weapons, weapons, weapons. I think this is the one without weapons. Yeah, this is the only patch we got without weapons. Collapse that. Weapons. 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 And I think that is it. At the end of 2020, you keep looking at all the other patches, not a single weapon. We get these like tools. I guess we got some ship weapons. But you're mainly getting like the little tools. The multi-tool, the health tool, the salvage tool. There's really nothing else getting delivered in here. And if you go back to around the time that happened, you'll see it matches up pretty closely with their whole, we're moving everybody to Squadron 42 thing. So it is kind of telling that we are now suddenly seeing a bunch of FPS weapons starting to be brought into the game when they were making FPS weapons every single update just about for 2 years straight. Tons of weapons came in, and then they moved to Squadron, and we didn't see any. And now we're seeing them bring that work back over to the PU. And that's a small example, but I think that's a super clear example of this whole Squadron 42 folks are kind of done on that side, and they're starting to port their stuff over. And I like it because I got really tired of waiting for those Volt weapons. I'll tell you what, is the Retaliator in game? It is. Yeah, player-to-player rep system we're going to need some work on for sure. You remember scramble missions? Those got taken out pretty quickly. You're excited for it? You think these commodity missions are going to be great for pirates? Especially since cargo hauling won't get nearly as upset about getting pirated since it doesn't require a massive investment on their end. Yeah, that certainly helps. I'm going to love to see how that all balances out. Now that we'll see a regular amount of piracy and cargo hauling and the interaction between the two, I'm very curious to see how it gets balanced to make sure that it's still fun even if you get pirated, or at least how people respond to that. What are cargo haulers going to do? Are they going to hate every little thing that happens to interrupt these missions, or are they going to accept that the missions can be interrupted and work along with them? Maybe that defines whether or not you even want to do the profession in this game. Needs to be a way to recover rep after a cargo mission fails. Well, I'm guessing you just go and take their smaller missions. Something along those lines, huh? Like, you lose some rep, but you can't lose your whole relationship with the company. I would hope. Unless you just screw them over. Will punching the chair be necessary to complete the cargo hauling mission? I don't think so. I think that's more necessary to stop the game from 30K'ing. It'll save you. Loading and unloading is a massive risk for non-mission cargo hauling. Security required, especially when the player counts go up. Yeah, loading and unloading at outposts sounds really sketchy right now, considering it's open air. People can just come in and do things. Immersion ruined. What happened to your immersion? Where'd it go? Is it in the room with us? If the cargo missions get stocked at the pickup and... Dead leader! Yo! Good to see you, dude. Hey, why didn't they shout you out in this episode? You're pretty industry. My boy Dead. Depends. If the cargo missions get stocked at the pickup and drop off locations, if they can get out of atmosphere, they have options to avoid pirates, but with all this loading... Yeah, it's those dead points at the stations that would really... Those would be the moments. And you kind of want those there, right? Because there needs to be some level of vulnerability, but it would be dumb if all of the piracy happened in atmosphere at outposts. Like that's not fun. There should be a way to hinder pirates from attacking you at outposts and forcing them to strategize and schedule and get out ahead of you to stop you, rather than getting you at the outpost. And I don't know what they're going to have to do for that. I guess reputation, right? Monitor those areas so that you get huge hits if you do anything wrong. They never shout you out. No worries, dude. Same here. They don't. I think they. I don't know. I think it's just whoever they enjoy watching. Depends. When you drove a truck over the road you just picked up and delivered, your employer and their customer paid the money. You just received a paycheck. Man, just give me the money. I'll transport the box. Isn't it nice that they're actually adding missions like that? The bounty mission spawned when you were loading freight at an outpost rammed your ship on the pad. They got a bounty for ramming your ship while you were loading? Yeah, outposts do need security. Turrets, reputation, missile turrets. Do we know what outpost or factory locations will be producing certain goods? That ties in super heavily with these cargo missions and the dynamic economy. We don't, but they have determined it. If we go back to the monthly report, I think it might have been, is it February? Let's try both. I think it was March or February 2024. You'll see that they actually did. No? Yeah, so here's something that they mentioned in the economy team back then. Finally, first they said cargo economy are currently involved in the design of reputation and org progression and are starting to balance the time and cost for auto-loading freight elevators. Finally, a comprehensive list of all intended resource sources, transformers, and sinks were created to help ensure the economy is stable for the long haul. So they have determined them on their end. They haven't told us yet. That's something that we'll probably have to discover in game. That's also probably something that ties into data running, right? That kind of information could be sent out from the place, but at least in between systems, you're going to have to, players and NPCs will have to be the ones that go to other systems to share that info. But if we go to dynamic universe here, you can see how at least they wanted to balance it themselves. But we don't know what the specifics will be just yet. You got to be able to do your thing for a bit. How would you even do cargo running if scabs can always just grief? Yeah. What do you think's the answer to that, Dead? Just security? You're curious if these will eventually lead to ground-based cargo missions from distribution centers to smaller outposts following the implementation of road tech. I do think that's why they put those different outposts around distribution centers, so you can get cargo down to the distribution, the DC, and then drive it out to those outposts on the peripheral. And then that's also kind of, I think, what they're working on with... Let's go back real quick to... I always get distracted by the thumbnails that pop up when I'm trying to type something in. Star Citizen... The heck was I looking for? Living on the edge. You kind of see it with some of these areas. Like, this is a really good shot, I think, that drives that point home. This could be the outpost here that you deliver the stuff to, right? You end your mission here, but then somebody else might be able to pick up a cargo mission here that takes it out to this little outpost down the road down here. You can barely see it, but there's a couple buildings over here. And from local repair and maintenance missions to investigations of finding people at nearby caves to driving cargo out to a remote building that's like not quite at the outpost, I think they're working on a lot of miniature game loops like that, so you don't have to leave the planet or leave the outpost to get that fun. You really want everything that exists to have a resource, source, production, location, and finally a destination for sale. Well, that's what they said in that monthly report. That's what they're working on. There needs to be just so many different locations to buy and sell, making it difficult to camp a spot, or making a lot of it happen at distro centers in a hangar bay. Right, yeah. I bet that's a big part of adding the hangars to the distribution centers. Create protection and defense missions for combat pilots to protect outposts. Yeah. That could work too. I mean, the whole point of cargo haulers is to spawn more missions for us to do things, right? I say us, but I'm more likely to be a cargo hauler than an escort. More people means more traffic, meaning more people willing to run security without being bored out of their minds, yeah. So folks, I'm going to, this was a good look at this. I'm going to watch this probably 2 more times and do a feature watch on this next week. Gosh, I might do a tomato talk on this because this is a lot of information. I don't even know where to start. But, this stream is about over. Now, Twitch, you guys don't really have to do anything. You can stay right there on the channel. What I'm going to do is I have another stream that's starting here very shortly on YouTube. I'm just going to pass you all on YouTube over to that. This is the problem with streaming on YouTube. You have to make a thumbnail for your stream. So if I make a thumbnail for something and then I switch to something else, we're going to get person after person after person coming into chat and being like, why aren't you talking about this? So I've made 2 different streams. I'm going to raid you on YouTube all into that new stream so you don't have to go anywhere. On Twitch, you guys will be fine. Twitch makes it easy. And we're going to, in a little bit, hop into Arena Commander. We're going to play some games. Yeah, actually, actual gameplay. We're going to jump in and do some gun rush with the org for a little while. And I invite anybody who is a part of GII, come in and join us. Come play. We'll be doing custom matches probably because we'll have the people. But we might actually do public matches if we've got a bigger group. Who knows? If you are interested in getting into an org, finding a place with Star Citizen folks, just to chat, ask questions, get some tips, or talk about other things like, I don't know, we've got channels for Helldivers, Halo, tabletop games. I don't think we have a Civilization channel, but I should add one. The finals even. Like, we've got plenty of stuff for you to do, even if you're not currently playing Star Citizen, but I think it's a good spot to find a community of good people. They're kind people. They've got a good amount of respect, and a lot of them are in this chat, so if you like the vibes of chat, you'll probably like it there. Cargo missions could take place in cities too. Yeah, building interiors would probably be really helpful there. The Euro champions start in 30 minutes or so. Hey, did Turkey win against Czechia? I didn't get to check that out. Sound like I'm prepping some piracy. Thank you. Thank you very much. Never. Oh my god. Erkmun just dropped 10. Yo, I kid you not. That was the first action on the Twitch side of this stream in an hour and a half. Thank you so much. You are awesome. Holy crap. Just dropped 10 subs, gifting them out to folks. Anybody who just got that sub, check out the exclusive videos you got access to. Make sure to link yourself to Discord, because that's... Big shout out to Erkman for that. Thank you. Oh, no, you were talking. No. I'm not saying you guys weren't talking. In terms of notifications I get on Twitch, on my side, you see right here, it shows me, it shows me what's been happening. And like the last one occurred a long time ago. No, chat's been popping off on Twitch. I feel you. You're good. Twitch side represent. Okay, let's see how this works. How do I plan to raid you into my own stream? Edit the stream. Cool. And redirect. Perfect. All right, so you guys on YouTube, you're all good. In fact, I might not even have to go offline to do this. Let's see. They make you do a thumbnail for live content. Surely it would be more efficient to have a splash screen for your channel that is displayed when you go live that you can change if you want. I mean, you can just have a splash screen. I personally decide to design a new thumbnail for every live stream because I love you guys. You deserve to have something pretty to look at before you get in here, you know? But you can totally just have one screen that posts for every single stream you do. I just don't think that's very entertaining. Not very fun. Ooh! Albany. Turkish chocolate. Turkish gummy bears. Is this Doris? And Doritos. I'm getting our niece's snacks for dinner today. Because we got a long stream. I'll be in 15. All right. Because I'll be doing some gameplay now for a couple of hours, and then once we're done with this, I'll be jumping on Soul Citizens for another couple hours. So it's a 6 to 8 hour day today. Good times. And I'm really, really hopeful that this is one of probably the second or last stream. Does that mean last? Why did I do that? This is probably the second or first last stream. The hell am I fucking dude? Just makes sense. This is probably the second to last or last stream I'm gonna have in this room. So happy to eat our niece's snacks for that. I'll buy her more. I know the snacks she's into. All right. Let's see if I can make this happen. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling. This is what happens when I don't know what to do. I'm just really nervous. Like streaming, pressing buttons during streaming is just what's gonna die, what's gonna fail. I'm gonna end this recording first. And then here we go. Bye YouTube. I should be seeing you in just a second. What happens at the sub goal? Nothing. We just passed the sub goal for the day. It's my appreciation for you. Sometimes we do giveaways based on sub goals, but we're not doing any right now. Okay, here we go. YouTube, I'll see you on the other side.